In today English lesson, we are going to read a ton editorials together. This advanced lesson will focus on very essential vocabulary and grammar you need to know, not only to fully to understand this article, but to participate in the culture of the English speaking world. We will analyze each paragraph. Finally, at the end of the lesson, we read the articles so that you can understand the best pronunciations and intonations. So, welcome back to Smile English Learn. Of course, I'm Zeeshan. So, get let's started. That first headlines is that for friendly neighbor. The first headlines a friendly neighbor. That first paragraph, former Indian Prime Minister Manmohan Singh, who passed away on Tuesday at 92, was a renowned economist who pulled out his country from the economic mess unleashed by the fall of the Soviet Union and an oil price shock triggered by the first US-Iraq war that saw India pawning a chunk of its gold reserves to foreign bank. That important word is that passed away, renowned, pulled out, unleashed by fall off, triggered by Pawning's chunk of reserves too. That important word is that passed away. To die or disease, often used to gentle or euphemistic way to refer to something someone death. To die or expire, often used to avoid direct or blunt language. For example, the grandmother passed away last years after a long illness. Renowned. Renowned is famous, well known, and respected from some things, often due to achievements or excellence. Famous. For examples, the renowned scientist was awarded the Nobel Prize for her groundbreaking research. Pulled out to remove or withdraw some things from a place or positions. For example, she pulled out her phones to make an urgent call. Unleashed by, caused, or triggered by something, often leading to a strong or intense reactions. Set free from, released by something, often resulting in uncontrolled, unchecked actions. That important example is that the new policy unleashed by the government sparked widespread protests. Fall off, the declines or collapse or failure of something often resulting in a lost power of status or control. Decline, collapse, downfall. For examples, the fall of the Roman Empire marked the end of an era, triggered by cause or set off by something, often resulting in a strong reactions or response. Activated or initiated by something, often leading to a change or event. For example, the alarm was triggered by the intruder. Pawnings, sellings, or giving something as security for a loan, typically to a pawnbroker. For example, he was desperate and ended up pawning her grandmother's jewelry. Chunk of a large or substantial part of portions of some things. For example, a company invested a chunk of its profit into research and development. Reserves too is not a commonly used phrase, but I can provide some possible interpretations. For example, she reserves her energy for the important task. That second paragraph is he was also a statesman who one who offered the best hopes in recent memory for his country to, to establish stable and friendly ties with Pakistan. This he did by backing at the resolutions of the Kashmir dispute without the loss of face for either sides, or without changing or the border. However, he had misread the ground realities dominated by Indians, by reactionary Hindutva forces that would catapult Prime Minister Narendra Modi to become his successor. That important word is statesman's that ties which did by backing resolutions of either side without changing the border, misread, reactionary, and catapult. Statesmen is skilled and respected politicians or leaders who is known for their wisdom, integrity, and commitment to the public good. Ties with is connections or relationships with someone or something. Relationships. The company has strong ties with his several major suppliers. Did is past simple tense. The past simple tense is used to describe completed actions or events that occurred in a specific time in the past. For example, I did my homework yesterday. By backing, supporting, or endorsing something or someone, often financially or publicly. For example, the company's new project was made possible by backing from several investors. Resolutions of resolution the act or processes of finding solutions or answer to a problems, conflict or difficult situations. For example, the resolutions of the conflict was achieved through diplomatic negotiations. Either side, both sides are parties involved in situations or conflict or issues. For example, the mediator worked to find solutions that would satisfy either side of the disputes without changing the border, keeping the existing boundaries or limits exchange without making any alterations or modifications. For example, the two countries agreed to resolve their disputes without changing the border. Misread to interpret or understand something incorrectly, often due to a mistakes or misunderstanding. For example, I misread the instructions and ended up assembling the furniture incorrectly. Dominated to have controls or power over something or someone, often to a great extent. For example, the company dominated the market with its innovative products. Reactionary oppose the progress or change and favoring traditions or established way. For example, the reactionary politicians opposed the new tax reform. Catapult Catapult is that a medieval age siege engines used to launch heavy object or projectiles at enemy fortifications. For example, the medieval army used to catapult to attack the enemy castles. Their third paragraph is that he had also overestimated the political durability of the late Pakistani president General Pervez Musharraf, with whom he was said to be close to clinching to a peace pact and centered on Kashmir's Musharraf sudden exit from power and Mr. Modi, a theologically driven hostility toward Islamabad, combined to torpedo Dr. Singh's quest for a South Asian neighborhood that was anchored in peace and prosperity. Had also overestimated which kind of sentences, durability, clinching, pact, centered on exist, ideologically driven hostility combined to torpedo quest for anchored in that important words and synonym is that had also overestimated past perfect tense is used to describe an actions that occurred before another actions in the past. For example, I had eaten breakfast before I left for work. The past perfect tense indicates that the actions of overestimating occurred before another actions even in the past. Durability, the ability of something to withstand wear, tears, and damage over times and to remain in good conditions, resist degradations or deteriorations. For example, the durability of the new smartphone's battery is impressive, lasting up to 2 days on a single charge. Clinching to settle or confirm something finally and conclusively. For example, the team win in the final games clinched their spot in the playoffs. Pact, a formal agreement, a binding contract or promise between two or more parties, often involving in mutual obligations or responsibilities. The two countries signed a pact in to reduce trade barriers, centered or focus on concentrating intentions, effort, or interest on something specific. For example, that important example, the conferences was centered on sustainable development and climate change. Exist a way out, a door, passages, or opening that allows someone to leave or buy buildings, rooms, or vehicles. For example, the emergency exit is located at the bank of the theater. Ideologically driven, motivated or influenced by a strong set of beliefs, principles, or values that shape one's thoughts, actions, and decisions. Convictions driven, value based. Hostility. Hostility, a feeling or attitude of opposition, anger, aggressions toward someone or something. Combine to bring or join together two more things, ideas, or forces to achieve common goal, effect, or results. The, the ingredients combine to create a delicious and unique flavor. Torpedo, a self-propelled underwater missile, cylindrical device launched from a submarines or ships to attack a sink enemy vessels. Quest for is search or pursuit of something, often with determinations or effort in order to achieve a goal or find solutions or attain something desirables. For example, the scientist's quest for a cure lead to a groundbreaking discovery. Anchored in, securely fastened, a grounded in something, often providing stability, support, or a sense of foundations. The company values are anchored in a commitment to sustainability. That third paragraph, in dealing with his neighbor, Dr. Singh's achieved traditions big brotherly Indian approaches, including toward Pakistan. A significant proof of this was in view when he, as Prime Minister, would not yield to the hawks in the Indian establishment of to go militarily often after Pakistan over the horrific terror attack in Mumbai on November 2008. That important word is that in dealing with acute approaches, including in view, would yield to hawks to establishment to horrific terror. In dealing with while interacting or handling a particular situation's person or thing. Attitude to deliberately avoid or shun something, often because it is considered desirable, unpleasant, unwise. Approaches to come near or closer to move forward something or someone in physical space. The core approaches the interactions, including to comprise or contain some things or someone as a part of a larger whole groups or category. Would specifically would is used to former condition sentence I would go if I had the money. Future in the past I knew I would graduate eventually. Hypothetical situations if I won the lottery I would buy a house. The condition sentence typically express uncertainty or doubt. Yelled to the driver, yelled to the pedestrians, allowing them to cross the street. Hawks in to be strongly in a favor of something, especially or strong aggressive policy actions or decisions. The hawks in the government are pushing for military interventions. Establishment 2. The process of setting up or creating something such as organizations, institutions, or system within an existing framework or structure. Heroic terror, extreme and intense fear or dread often caused by something shocking, disturbing, and frightening. For example, the heroic terror in her eyes was evident as she recounted the traumatic experience. The fourth paragraph, Indian voters endorsed the ground approaches and returned him to power for a second term in 2009 to the charging of the BJP Prime Ministerial candidate Lal Krishna Advani, whose political career Dr. Singh's ruined. While Mr. Modi looked like winning at the 2014 general elections, Dr. Singh openly warned that such an outcome would be disastrous for India. In his death, Pakistan has lost a partner for peace and the world, a true statement. That important word endorsed, grounded approach, charging of ruined, warned openly, outcome would be disastrous partner. Important word is that endorsed. Endorsed, publicly supported or approach to officially back or recommend someone or something, often by giving a public statement or cease of approval. Grounded approach, practical or realistic, a method to strategy that is based on realities, facts, and practical considerations rather than on theory and speculations idealism. Charging of a feeling or distress, anxiety, or embarrassment a state of discomfort or perturbations often caused by failure, rejections, or humiliations. For example, to her charges, he realized she had forgotten her phones at home, ruined, destroyed, or damaged. Something or someone is severely harmed, spoiled, or rendered useless. Openly warmed implies a straightforward that honest communications of a warning without any attempt conceal or downplay the issues. For example, the government openly warned citizens of the impending neutral disaster. Outcome is that results or consequences, the fact or end products of a particular actions, decisions, or set of circumstances. For example, the outcome of the elections was a surprise to many. Would be is conditional sentence specifically is used to express future possibility or potentially. Hypothetically or uncertain situations. For example, if I had studied harder, I would have been more confident. If it rains tomorrow, the concert would be cancelled. Disastrous, causing or resulting in disaster, extremely bad, unfortunate, or catastrophic, leading to severe consequences of harm. Catastrophic, partner, business or professionals, colleague or associate, a person who shares ownerships, responsibility or participations in a business projects. That complete paragraph is that a friendly neighborhood. Former Indian Prime Minister Manmohan Singh, who passed away on Tuesday at 92, was a renowned economist who pulled out his country from the economic mess unleashed by the fall of the Soviet Union and all oil price shocks triggered by the first US-Iraq war that saw India pawning a chunk of its gold reverse to foreign bank. He was also a statesman, one who offered a best hope in the recent memory for his country to establish stable and friendly ties with Pakistan. This he did by backing the resolutions of Kashmir disputes without loss of face either side or without changing the borders. However, he had misread the ground's reality dominated by Indians by reactionary Hindutva forces that would catapult Prime Minister Narendra Modi to become his successor. He had also overestimated the political durability of the late Pakistani President General Pervez Musharraf, with whom he was said to be close clinching a peace pact centered on Kashmir. Musharraf's sudden exit from power that Mr. Modi ideologically driven by hostility towards Islamabad combined to torpedo Dr. Singh's quest for a South Asian neighborhood that was anchored in peace and prosperity. In dealing with his neighbor, Dr. Singh eschewed traditional brotherly Indian approaches, including towards Pakistan. A significant proof of this was in view when he, as Prime Minister, would not yield to the hawks in the Indian establishment to go militarily after Pakistan of the horrific terror attack in Mumbai in November 2008. Indian voters endorsed the grounded approach and returned him to power for a second term in 2009 to the charge of the BJP prime ministerial candidate Lal Krishna Advani, whose political career Dr. Singh's ruined. When Mr. Modi looked like winning the 2014 general election, Dr. Singh openly warned that such an outcome would be disastrous for India. In his death, Pakistan has lost a partner for peace and the world, a true statement. So please subscribe this channel and hope you like this video. Thank you very much.